Hey guys, so I'm gonna try a Fragment Friday thing today, but since I'm gonna be in Kingston this week and I talked to my school sister's dance competition, I probably will not be able to do a Fragment Friday, so I'm gonna do one today instead, but next time I'll continue on Fridays, so if I can't do it, I might try for that. So, what I'm reading to you is Graceland by Kristen Cahor. And I'm going to read you from chapter 1. In these dungeons, the darkness was complete. But Cassia had a map in her mind, one that had so far proven correct, as all's map tended to do. Cassia ran her hand along the cold walls and counted doors and passageways as she went, turning when it was time to turn, stopping finally before an opening that should contain a stairwell leading down. She crouched and felt forward with her hands. There was a stone step, damp and slippery as moss, and another one below it. This was all staircase then. She only hoped that when she and Gideon followed her with their torches, they would see the moss-lined slime tread carefully, and not waken the dead by clattering heads long down the steps. Katya slunk down the stairway, one left turn and two right turns. She began to hear voices as she entered a corridor where the darkness flickered orange with the light of a torch set in the wall. Across from the torch was another corridor where, according to all, anywhere from 2 to 10 guards should be standing watch before a certain cell as the passageway ends. These guards were Katya's mission. It was for them that she had been sent first. Katya crept toward the light and the sound of laughter. She could stop and listen, to get a better sense of how many she would face, but there was no time. She pulled her head low and swung down the corner. She almost tripped over her first 4 victims, who were sitting on the floor across from each other, their backs against the walls, legs splayed, the air stinking of whatever strong drink they brought down here to pass the time of their watch. Katya kicked and struck at temples and necks, and the 4 men lay slumped together on the floor before amazement had even registered in their eyes. There was only one more guard, sitting before the cell bars at the end of the corridor. He scrambled to his feet and slid his sword from his shelf. Katya walked toward him, certain that the torch at her back hid her face, in particular her eyes, from his sight. She measured his size. The way he moved, the steadiness of his arms that held the sword toward her. Stop there. It's clear enough what you are. His voice was even. He was brave, this one. He cut the air with his sword in warning. You don't frighten me. He lunged toward her. She ducked under his blade and whirled her foot out, clipping his temple. He dropped to the ground. She stepped over him and ran to the bar, squinting into the darkness of the cell. As she huddled against the back wall, a person too tired or too cold to care about the fighting going on. Arms wrapped around the legs and head tucked beneath knees, he was shivering. She could hear his breath. She shifted, and the light glanced over his crouched form. His hair was white and cut close to his head. She saw the glimmer of gold in his ear. All smack had served them well, for this one was a lean-in. He was the only one they were looking for. She pulled on the door latch. Lock. Well, there was no surprise, and it wasn't her problem. She was for once low like an owl. She stretched a brave guard flat on his back and dropped one of her pills into his mouth. She ran up the corridor, turned the 4 unfortunates on their back beside each other, and dropped a pill into each mouth. Just as she was beginning to wonder if all and Gideon had lost themselves in the dungeon, they appeared around the corner and slipped past her. A quarter hour, no more, she says. A quarter hour, my lady. All voices were rumbled. Go safely. The torchlight splashed the walls as they approached the cell. The leaning-in man moaned and drew his arms in close. Katya had caught a glimpse of his torn, stained clothing. She heard Gideon's ring of locked picks clink against itself. She would have liked to wait to see if they opened the door, but she was needed elsewhere. She tucked her packet of pills into her sleeve and ran. The cell guards reported to the dungeon guard, and the dungeon guard reported to the under guard. The under guard reported to the castle guard. The night guard, the king's guard, the wall guard, and the garden guard also reported to the castle guard. As soon as one guard noticed another's absence, the alarm would be raised, and if Katya and her men weren't far enough away, all would be lost. They would be pursued. It would come to bloodshed. They would see her eyes, and she would be recognized. so she had to get them all, every guard. All had guessed that there would be 20. Prince Raffin had made her 30 pills, just in case. Most of the guards gave her no trouble. If she could sneak up on them, or if they were crowded in small groups, they never knew what hit them. The castle guard was a bit more complicated, because 5 guards defended his office. She swirled through a lot of them, kicking and kneeling and hitting, and the castle guard jumped up from his guardhouse desk, burst through a door, and ran into the fray. I know a graceling when I see one. He jabbed her sword, and she rolled out of the way. Let me see the colors of your eyes, boy. I'll cut them out. Don't think I won't. Give her some pleasure to knock him on the head with the hilt of his knife. She, no. She grabbed his hair, dragged him onto his back, and dropped a pillow into his tongue. They would all say when they woke to their headaches and their shame that the culprit had been a Grayson boy. Grayson fighting, acting alone. They would assume she was a boy, because in her plain trousers and hood, she looked like one, and because when people were attacked, it never occurred to anyone that it might have been a girl, and none of them had caught a glimpse of all given she had seen to that. No one would think of her, whatever the Grayson Lady Capsia might be. She was not a criminal who lurked around the dark courtyards at midnight disguised. And besides, she was supposed to be en route east. Her uncle Rhonda, king of the Midlands, had sent her off just that morning. The whole city watching, with Captain Ole and Giddon, Randa's underlord, escorting her. Only a day of very hard riding in the wrong direction could have brought herself to King Murgon's court. Capsia ran through the courtyard, past flower beds, fountains, and marble statues of Murgon. It was quite a pleasant courtyard, really, for such an unpleasant king. It smelled of grass and wet soil, and the sweetness of dew-dripped flowers. She raced through Murgon's apple orchard, a trail of drug guards stretching up behind her. Drug, not dead, an important distinction. All in Giddon and most of the rest of the secret council had wanted her to kill them, but at meetings to plan this mission, she argued that killing them would gain no time. What if they wait? Giddon had said. Prince Raffin had been offended. You doubt my medicine? That they won't wait. It would be faster to kill them, Giddon had said. His brown-eyed assistant, headed to the dark room, had nodded. I can do this in time allotted, Capsia had said, and when Giddon had started to protest, she held up her hand. Enough. I won't kill them if you want them killed. You can send someone else. Well, since this chapter was actually quite long, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that was basically a little bit of the chapter, and it's really good, and I would suggest to go pick it up, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.